Hello there, I'm Harda Hatta, and today I'm going to tell you how I made the soundtrack for Garten of Banban 8 Anti-Devil. A lot of you have been asking, so in this video I'll try to share a bit about the process and the ideas and few tricks I use without going into boring technical stuff. But I also want to share how was my experience working with the Euphoric Brothers, how a small indie composer like me works with a big indie company like them. What are the things I liked, what are the things I didn't like, what were my goals, and what's coming next for me without making spoilers. Got it. Sorry, English is not my first language. You have to know. I also want to make this video short introduction to me because I don't use YouTube that much. I use other social media, but I want to get into it as I saw lots of feedback from you. So yeah, thank you very much. I'm Harda Hatta, and I already said that. I'm half Italian, half Spanish. I live in Ireland, and I've been a full-time composer for like 5 years now. But getting into my work with Garten of Banban 8, it was a blast, I gotta say, working with the Euphoric Brothers. They make my life easy, giving some examples of the music they would like, and also they are open to new ideas, which is something is not very common in game developers. So it was very good. This game achieved something that I really wanted to achieve at some point. It was that for you to get to know my music. Thanks again for all the good reviews and everything. I think the music ended up being really good and special. And now I'm going to tell you bits of how did I do it and what came to my mind to think of those things, to make it a bit different. I know from what Garten of Banban was used to, but I think kind of needed a change. And even if Garten of Banban, like Private Hell, he's very good doing his job, doing our job. He's very good, but I feel Garten of Banban needed a renewal, and I think I could achieve that with little tricks and changing a bit the palettes. Now I'm going to explain you what the palettes are. So what I'm trying to say is working with Garten of Banban 8 was great. It made my career progress, but now I have to keep progressing and I have to do other stuff. I have to work in other games as well, and I cannot make spoilers about Garten of Banban, so and so I need to progress, so I'm gonna start uploading more videos to YouTube. If you're interested, leave it in the comments if you want some video about how I did this or how I did that, or if you find anyone that's interested in me for making music, I'll be glad to join maybe. Okay, but now I'm gonna explain you what are the most important things for a game and what did I do with Garten of Banban. I'm gonna show you one of the songs here. Is a No More to Say song. This is what is called a DAW, and this is where I make music. You can see here all the things you can do, and you know, it's a bit, you know, you can have the sheet music and all that kind of stuff. But the thing is, for making it simple, there's two ways of making a game rememberable. For making a sound of a game, a special sound, there's palettes and there's leitmotifs. Of course, there's other things, but these are the two main that I use at least. So palettes are the sounds that I use. Palettes are, for example, this. This is a piano. You can hear the piano on its own. It's a piano, and it comes from here, from a plugin called Analog Lab. So choosing this piano instead of this piano, or instead of this sound, It's it's hard because you have lots of plugins and lots of sounds in the world. You could put the sound of anything, but you have to put a sound that actually works with the other sounds of the game, and not only that, but with the visuals. How does the sound work with the visuals? Well, if the visuals are smooth, it has to be smooth. You know, it's very simple but very complicated at the same time. So those are the palettes, and that's what I do when I start a project, any project, a movie, a game, a short film, an ad, whatever. First thing I have to do is think of from the outside to the inside, not the opposite. I'm not gonna start making a song and then I'm gonna start knowing what is the sound of the game, what the game should sound like, and then I can start making songs, and then I can start making leitmotifs and everything. But the first thing is knowing exactly what the sound palette is, and this is the process that takes me the longest time, because usually I go through millions of sounds before I choose, okay, these 20 are the sounds I'm gonna try to use the whole game. Then I add and I remove some, but usually it's just like, okay, let's see what's the game gonna sound like. But of course, even before that, I talk with the developers, ask for some visuals, ask for a bit of the story. I try to make a whole idea in my head of to build the palettes. I have to know what's the game gonna be like, or there's depend of the developer. They ask you this, or they be very close and they say you have to do exactly like this or whatever. There's many developers, many movie directors, there's many different personalities in this job, but like this is the perfect way to do it. Just thinking outside and thinking outside of the box, and what does this game feel like, not in music, just in sounds. Like if you're playing a game of a quiz, you're not gonna put violin, you know, because you need to put something that is kind of happy to make the people keep playing, addictive, and then you'll add the leitmotifs, which is something I'm gonna explain now, and it's what makes a game addictive or rememberable. I'll explain now. So before explaining what a leitmotif is and why did I choose the leitmotifs that I chose, now that we know what the palettes are, I'm going to say why did I choose the palettes that I chose. And this is supposed to be a scary game. This Garten of Banban. Well, you know it better than me because you've been playing for ages. I got to know what Garten of Banban was when I did the soundtrack for Missing Banban. I did a little bit of research. I played some games. You know how the games are, and it's kind of it should be scary, but it should also be like a child's play. That's why, for example, in my song Melodies in the Wall, I chose something that is calm, and it's like it's classical, but it has a little twist in it that makes it a bit creepy. You know, I put reverb, I put loads of echo on it, so it sounds like something's off. Even if it's something calm and beautiful, it sounds lovable, but something has to be off. So what I chose is a palette that has a classical instrument and orchestral instruments that can make an action feeling or a horror feeling, or these kind of things we're used to, but with a mix of some synthesizers and toys, you know, like a glockenspiel, and I reverse it and I make a sound out of it that is kind of creepy, or a toy piano, and I twist the sound, you know, to make some things off. But then also add the typical Garten of Banban percussion, the one where you used to, the one that keeps the game going, to make it loopable and to make it a bit rememberable. I can show you here what I did. 1 second. This is a recorded loop of percussion. I'm going to show you here. It's a very simple percussion that goes like twice. It could be from a pop hit or whatever. It's very simple. But then when you start adding things, like for example, first thing I added, I think I remember it was this choir. It starts getting already in the palette of Garten of Banban, and then if you add everything, this already sounds like Garten of Banban. And as you see, it's very simple. It doesn't have lots of instruments. You know, sometimes when you choose the right palette and the right instrument, you don't need that many things in your project. You don't need that many that complex composition. You know, simple is as good as complicated sometimes. And what I chose here is just some doing chords. They're doing literally the same chord, you know, as you can see here. Well, I understand that you're not familiar with those, but you can see they're similar images. This is what the music is making, and they're similar because they're doing the same chords, but they're doing the same chords with different. This is just a drone with different sounds. This is a choir, and this is making the same thing on the choir, but with a cello and a fiddle that I twisted a bit, and I with this instrument I have. They're doing the same thing. So I just added a bass, a percussion, some chords, and then a very subtle melody, which is something I really want to talk about, the melodies of Garten of Banban and the leitmotifs. But give me 1 second. But also, before I finish any song and I get into production and mastering and all those things, when I'm still in composition time, I like to add something that is very, very subtle, but that can resemble. It's like a leitmotif, but you can barely hear it. It's a leitmotif made in a sound. I like to add a drone to this Garten of Banban tunes, which is very subtle, as I say, but like it makes it off, as I say. The whole composition goes down. It's not that perfect, but you know, something's off, even if you barely can hear it. I'm gonna show you here what I did in this track. So we have this one, you know, you've been hearing. Yeah, you can barely hear this, but this is sounding, and I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but it is here. This is sounding but just very subtle, and all of the tracks have something very similar to this, a drone or something that goes very off, and it makes it weird. And if you listen to it on its own, it's weird, but it kind of mixes perfectly with everything else on the track. If we go here, okay, this is the sound, but once we take it, we put it with everything, you barely hear it anymore. Well, usually it was this loud, not that loud, but you know, it's something I had to do to replace leitmotifs per se, because Garten of Banban doesn't have much melody, to be honest, and it shouldn't have that much melody because the people playing the game shouldn't be thinking about the music that much. There should be being like a soundscape, a whole experience in the background. If you put too much melody from it, like, I don't know, like any game, like an arcade game, for example, that has too much melody, like Mario Bros, which is my favorite soundtrack of all time. And if you put that much melody, it's not gonna feel that real. It has to be a soundscape. So the leitmotifs, which are, I think I didn't explain that yet, are basically something that relates to something in the game. Like, for example, a piece of music, like if you do ba ba ba, that when you play it again, every time, for example, character dies. So every time a character dies, you hear ba 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 in the music. Then every time you hear pa pa pa, you'll start thinking someone's gonna die, because that's in the music. So the music is telling you the story, which is something I love. But for Garten of Banban, I had to uh, take a whole new approach, because it couldn't be that. It had to be more subtle. Like if you play Missing Banban, for that I put plenty of those in melodies. All the melodies were basically the same, but twisting it, going backwards, going like it was a whole leitmotif, the whole soundtrack. And wow, I loved doing that. I loved it. But for this, I couldn't do that. I didn't feel it fit the game, so I have to think new ways of telling the story with the music, and that was through drones, through chords and long notes, and something that doesn't really tell you what's happening. But I think I already talked too much today. The video is long enough. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to talk about other things, and what would be those things. If you want me to review other soundtracks that are now trending, like Silk Song and all that stuff, which I love, and what those soundtracks are saying, because, well, I didn't talk about this for Garten of Banban, but because you play the game and you know the story, but usually the soundtracks are telling a story, and when you know a bit of music, you'll know what actually they're saying, what, like, they're saying something but without words, and there's a meaning there, and you can understand it at some point, and it's beautiful to understand a game, not only for the gameplay, not only for the visuals, but also for the audio, not only music, but also sound effects and everything. Why did they choose that sound effect that makes it feel energetic, or makes it feel calm? Why do the music keeps repeating itself? What is the composer trying to say with it? There's millions of things we could talk about in a way, but yeah, I'm trying to pay my rent and make a living out of this. Well, I've been 5 years full time for this now. I'm loving it. This is something I really like, and that's why I'm starting to think about the YouTube channel. Like, maybe I should, if you're happy with it, I could upload more videos, explain more things, but I need your full support. If you can, give it a like and comment and follow, or whatever it is, because I'm not an expert on YouTube, to be honest. Well, I think you already know that, because my editing skills are not that great right now. But thank you very much for watching, and let me know what can I do next, please, to follow my dream. Thank you.